In fact, some of these places downtown they've passed laws that basically force them to have so many low income housing units in there, and now they're looking at that. But I just want to point out a couple of things I had here as far as these things. So the older this is from Chat CPG. I looked this up and did my own research, and then went to AI and put it into AI efficiently so I can get what I'm seeking. But it says the black men were. This is the older policies created long-lasting social narratives. So this was the narrative. It's not true, but these things created this narrative. One of them, the black men were absent fathers. Because on the one hand, you're saying that the woman can't even get these benefits of any kind if the man is at home. So now she's telling that man, don't come home. You can't be here. He is forcing him to be less of a man. And then on the other hand, you're turning around and saying, oh, you absent. You don't take care of your kids. Yeah. But your wife, your woman, your baby mama is telling you you can't live with your child. You can't be physically around the child, making the narrative around money. And the other one is that black women were dependent on the state. This is a narrative. So there's so many black women that ain't dependent on the state, but there is such a massive number, and then like we've been talking about, even the younger women are seeking to take the places of the older ones that are living on the state. Oh, I want to be just like that. I want to do that.
It make you think it's an aim.
Yeah, and then the other one says that the government aid meant broken families. Now these are narratives that are all false, but because of this system, it is true in some people's eyes. It is though that these narratives are being lived by these families and people who refuse to come out of that. Like you said with Moses and them in the wilderness, that's one thing that was certain about that, and that's the fact that they couldn't go back. It was impossible to go back into Egypt. As much as they murmured about it, they couldn't go back. The scriptures never said that among them were champion swimmers. So they were not, unless they were going to swim across the Red Sea, which they crossed miraculously, then they weren't going to go back. They didn't know the way back either. They're in the wilderness. They've never been in this place. Sometimes God will bring you to a place like that. You can equate that to the term that to get what you've never had, you got to do what you've never done. And this is what is happening. So many are going to be lost in the darkness without this system, without it, because Link is going to go first, then the cash assistance is going to go, and then now you're going to have to really work for that. And when you look at our communities, look at how high the crime rate is, and look at our young women that are having babies that don't even know about babies. Yeah. Like, it's just a toxic environment and getting even more toxic. So I believe that this system crashing is going to force a lot of them to wake up.
It's going to force a lot of people to wake up. It's going to be a very ugly sight because, one, we're discussing that many people, we're discussing the going away of this, and that people are too reliant on this to where they don't see life crumbling around them. They don't see the shape of society that's happening. They don't see the end of a system that we're coming into in the beginning of one. The tearing down of the families. The government is now the new husband in the household. Mm-hmm. They with SNAP benefits, with they got Section 8, with child support, with with other things that's going on. It eliminates the work. It eliminates the effect that the man has in the household, to what is causing division, to where your kids are seeing this and growing up. Young women are growing up. They're used to seeing single parent homes and looking at life from that perspective. Yeah. Men are used to seeing women providing, are growing up and seeing that. You're seeing it now, the demasculation of men. You're seeing now how the youth now, it's so crazy now when I go out, that how men and how the roles have switched. It stems from the dynamic of the husband, the wife, the man and the woman being in the household. It seems as though the system, and it's a target, because these statistics that we're bringing up is aimed predominantly at the black people. Yeah. It's aimed at a predominantly certain race. And I don't mean to make it black or white, because God truly never deemed us a color. to deem ourselves white or black is lesser than what God has called us to be. But at the same time, it's evident. We're seeing how laws and certain things are structured for certain people to elevate and certain people to stay and decline.
And they're playing right into it, like sheep to the slaughter. Like, if this does not end, then it is just gonna be continuing to going on, and the sad thing is it's gonna end because it's a part of the enemy's plan to cast everyone into total darkness, and you won't have anything to provide for yourself if you're not trying to gain that skill set now. And that's what this does. Like, the absence of government funding and government systems or entitlements kind of forces the real narrative to take place that, hey, that's a grown woman, that's a grown man, you got to make your money. But we already know from the minority standpoint that there's so much against us. So if you know that, knowing better is doing better. You don't have to step into the pitfalls that are created for you. You can create your own narrative and walk around it now that you know that it's there. But one way or another, these steps need to be taken. And if they're not taken, then that's how you see the evidence of it in our communities. Like how these people that are young they just need a wake up call, man. Like more so than anything else, I'm speaking to our young. They just need to be woken up. They think that everything's always up there. Trust me, what's up there is Jesus, and you don't want to get up there without knowing him.
Yeah, that's true. And here's another statistic that I just was researching myself. Is that when you look at in its totality, the amount of money that is given to a single family through governmental support, you got Medicare, they can use up to $17,000,
which is long.
Medicare, social services $5,000, and public education $22,000, which actually adds up to over $65,000 a year that the government gives to single families in order for them to have all these benefits. And when you think about the unjust balance, is that when they go and seek employment, making a job, they're not even making $65,000. They're not going to even make enough money to even come to half of that amount that they're receiving from the government to allow them to be able to live in that system.
And it's a dysfunctional family.
It's a dysfunctional
single family home.
Yes.
So this means that the man is not there.
It creates
it was a statistic to show how much you would make after working 30 years and retirement, getting a pension, and you how people strive to be millionaires and everything, bro. You barely make like 500,000. You barely make 200,000 after 30 years of giving your hard-earned sweat, your tears, your blood into a company, into this system, just to get a pension to live off of a small fraction of what you can make. If you just truly allow God to cultivate you, to cultivate those gifts, to learn what is required to maintain life. God, if we look back in the Bible days, as people say, agriculture was life. That was how people lived. That was the money system. That was everything. And I know we're much advanced now, but even now, the money system that we're used to, we're seeing the American dollar lose its value right before our face. Everything is becoming electronic. This system, truthfully, it gives a false sense of being self-sufficient or being able to provide for oneself. But in actuality, once one thing ends, another thing is put right in front of you.
And the new system is there. Like, it's already there, believe it or not. And I just want to touch on the numbers that you said, man of God, because that's just look at those numbers. 65,000 is being given to them, and it's all playing into the narrative. It's done on purpose. Get you dependent on this. Now we yank the rug out from among you, and then now you're gonna have all of this chaos because this stuff is spreading to bring us into riots. And just speaking on the last time that we had riots back in COVID, I just thought it was the stupidest thing. I mean, because when you finished doing all of that, you looted all of the stores in your own neighborhood. So now that all of the looting is said and done, where are you gonna go to get your food now? Like, they wasn't thinking of that ahead of time. Like, so literally, this is what you've seen over and over again in neighborhoods. Oh, can't go to that gas station. Oh, can't go over there. Can't go. You've torn down your whole neighborhood within a 10-mile radius of yourself, and now you're not even wanted in the neighborhood that you got to go to get your food from. So it's like that's just an example of the narrative that they're trying to bring back into play here. Because make no mistake, it isn't just that they're doing this to help us. My take on it is that it would help us. But by taking it away, they're not intending to help us no more than they were intending to help us when they gave it to us.
True. And then what would you do? What do you do in the aftermath? Do you change your mind? You know what I mean? You got to change. The mindset of our people is not changed as it pertains to the power of collective agreement. Money. Money is not that we don't have money. It's just that we don't understand that if we don't create our own capital or our own resources or surplus, then we would always be a slave to the master system to be sustained. And what I mean by that, and I know back in the day, not to be militant about it, but even our civil rights leaders, they were very, very powerfully enlightening about self-sustaining capital, our people having our own money, creating our own surplus, creating our own banking systems. Why? Because then we don't have to go through all of the red tape to be able to borrow money to start our own businesses or buy our houses or nothing like that. If we had a system that was fair and that would treat us with equality, and if we created our own. And here's the thing, say the three of us decided, hey man, we want to start our own businesses and we want to create our own opportunities for building whatever, like money generating ideas that we have. And the three of us decide every month we're going to take $100 and we're going to put it in the bank. Now, by the end of that year, 12 months, that's 3 times 12, that's $36, $100. We know more than that, but we're saving money. Now we got money built up. So you decide, hey man, I want to start I want to further my media business. And now I need upfront monies to do that. Well, now you can go to the surplus that we put together. You start your business, we pour it back into that. It builds up now Upright Ministries. Upright clothing line. You see my point? Mm-hmm. My point is, it's not that we don't have money, because one of the things that our people has done consistently that is contribute financially to the gross metropolitan product. Our sales. We spend lots of money on goods, services, and and all of that. We spend a lot of money, but we don't see that money coming back. It's when you change the mindset, then you understand it's not that we are not in a position where we can do it. We just don't have the understanding of it. We won't think, let me just like Joseph did when he interpreted Pharaoh's dream. One of the things that he did is he realized that there were going to be 7 years of plenteous. So that 7 years of plenteous was his opportunity to create a surplus to offset the 7 years of famine. Think about it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, it's going to be a lot coming in. So we're admonishing everybody. Come on, bring it, put it in the storehouse. Bring it, put it in the storehouse. Your grains, your agricultural goods, all the stuff, put it in the storehouse. So when we get ready for this famine that's going to take place, you all can have, a place to get it. But here's the powerful idea that Joseph had. I'm going to sell it to him. Mm-hmm. So why they're coming to get, the stuff that we put up. Now I can sell it to him. Now I make Pharaoh more richer than he was, and then now he's like, hey, what you got to offer? The land? We'll take that land. Come on, give him some food. Mm-hmm. And my point is understanding that aspect of our mind needs to be changed. Is what ultimately is going to get us over the hump, even in this situation right here. Because what we're going to do with the situation? Are we just going to, okay, God, I guess this is it? Because we're in the last days. Famine, the threat of famine.
It's all there.
Pandemonium and panic is already here.
Wars,
so what do you do with
wars.
it? Yeah, what do you do with that information? Of course, for me, the Bible tells me to rejoice because the word of God is being, manifested in the word of God. The prophecies that was given to John on the island of Patmos. revelations. It's actually appearing right before us. So that tells me that I can be happy because, you know, the God that promised what's going to happen, he hasn't lied. And I already know that we win. You know what I'm saying?
And so, but that's why we, as the church too, that's what I would tell the viewer, is that, you know, you got to get your mind in God first, be renewed by the Lord, and then you can get a proper understanding as to what to build, what needs to be gone and what needs to be taken away. You know, and that's just what you have. If you really is trusting in the Lord, then you can have the security that comes along with it. Because the system is going to crash because the Lord said it's going to crash. Yeah. These things that are happening is also a part of his greater plan. You know, so and the devil is just a tool in the whole thing. But you can see it. What you were saying as far as with our own communities and how our money is, you see that playing out in other races. The Mexican race is buying up everything around, building fences around it, and I'm talking about and they worked the job. I mean, they took the link system and got a little bit of link and then went to work and then they put their money together 2 by 2. The 3 of us, we working our butt off, but we putting our money together in one collective pot with one idea. We're going to get this building and a unit for you, unit for me, and the next 6 units in the building is going to gain income. We'll continue working and do this again and again. So it's possible, but it's just our race, man, that just doesn't, because make no mistakes, when the word, even the word minority is basically a show. It hides the true intentions of the master, because it's the same master. His appetite has gotten bigger. So when they say minority, that was because African Americans, we built the whole country basically, and whenever it comes down to helping or pouring back in, then they come up with a new term that makes other people able to get in. That's how the Mexicans got to get in. That's how the other minorities. Oh, well, look, we're minorities too. But hey, look, you was not thrown off slave ships and sold into slavery. You wasn't doing all these things that right here wasn't happening over here in this continent. You know, but you still get to get under that minority blanket. I'm not mad at them because they did it. It's just one of the facts that is. So if you use the system of current the way that it's supposed to go, then you can come out of it and be prepared. So that's what this is. Our people just need to be more prepared. And then I hope you men of God know that you're going to turn a lot of people mad. People are going to be upset. Oh, what? You said that we wasn't supposed to get linked? Get over here, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be ready to do that, but the truth is the truth.
True, because they're taking away link. You see AI is on the rise, where they're putting more and more artificial intelligence in these positions at jobs. Like literally, it's a statistic of people that graduate college, go through a 4-year college, get their degree, come out and can't find jobs because of AI.
Exactly.
Can't get jobs simply because there's an artificial robot or there's artificial intelligence that they feel is more admirable, is more equipped to work a job than you. You have,
and you won't have link either.
You won't have link.
It don't require food.
You won't have food stamps. You can't sell you food. No, but no, you don't have link. Health benefits are gone away. Most of the losses, not most of the losses, but most of the things that when something happens to this country, black folks are the most impacted by it. Whether it's loss of jobs, whether it's food shortages, whether the urban areas are the most affected.
We're still doing this. We're still waiting on a handout. And
we don't realize that we're the ones, we're like this, and they're just on our shoulders being carried.
That's exactly what it is. That's a great picture to paint.
Now what is happening is not, they're moving us out the way, and now AI is taking that place.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, what's going on, and this, like, they speak of Plan 2035, but what really just hit my spirit is it's really aimed at a certain people.
It's always been aimed at a certain. The decree that went out is still out.
Certain people.
It's still out.
Let's get some historical content to see why it's important to keep our people down or keep our people from advancing and being
not to make this just
the truth is spoken here.
Not to just make this an Amistad segment of that, you know what I mean?
No, I'm going
to. It is what it is. We go there, y'all know that.
I, the apostle, are under the duress of Holy Spirit and the God that I work for to be a perpetuator of the truth.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you the truth. Like I was saying before, historical content will actually reveal with the massacre of Greenwood in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Amen.
You know, that took place in 1921 when they literally destroyed a whole community of black people who were self-sustaining, had their own business, had their own, their own capital, they had their own banks, they had everything themselves, and they didn't need nobody.
Can I say this one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Look, you look at areas like Bronzeville.
That too.
Like Bronzeville, at a point, some of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in Chicago were black people. When celebrities came to Chicago, they came to these areas.
Because of black people.
They came.
And black people still are the richest families
came to the black
in Chicago. That's another thing that I would say.
Sorry to cut you off,
And I just ran in on the back door right there too, since he had already cut you. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry about that.
But listen,
you had a very powerful point.
there is more wealth in Chicago from blacks than there is anything, man. If you look up the history of Chicago, there's like 9 or 10, and that's just paraphrasing. Black families that were pivotal in Chicago and still are. They made millions of dollars. So if they can do it, you can do it. It's all about the plan. There's so much that's against you. But when God be for you, who could be against you? Can't nobody be against you.
Come on, man.
Go ahead, Scott.
And listen, again, when you become a threat, people, they often would set their minds to get rid of their threat or neutralize their threat. Black people with their own capital, with their own means of living, with their own ability to maintain their education and do all those things, independently and not depending on other people, becomes a threat. And so, and that's that historical information about what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood is evident of that. The reality is we're still living in that, but we're living in it from a sociological standpoint. Most people will talk about social racism, you know what I mean? Because it is still in the undertones part of the fabric of America, it's part of the fabric of our neighborhoods. But the thing is now, because it's so mentally impactful, we don't even realize we're still under the duress of it. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's important that, we be voices of reason and voices of truth that may step on the toes of ethnic, differences. But we don't, as a one who represents God, we don't walk in selective love. We love everybody the same. We don't look at people and say, oh, this person is evil or that person is evil because they're from this race or whatever, but we see the devil for who he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the devil can put on many colors.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Routinely does.
And that's the thing. It goes, it goes even in with politics because, one of the things that I know specifically about politics and how its ability to be able to control people is that they study everybody from social statistical information. And when you think about it, on a micro-sociological level, a bureaucratic sociological level, or intercontinental sociological level, they already has a number system that they know that gives them a certain outcome about certain ethnic demographics. And they use these numbers to get the results or sway it in their favor. Same thing with, regentification. Regentification to me is probably the most evil. It's almost the same thing as what took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's just without the bombs and the guns and the bullets. It's just basically you're getting somebody that controls the land and can give the land to whomever they want, and they throw you out when you were thriving and migrate you somewhere else where you're going to struggle a little bit more because now it takes time to rebuild and all of that, and then they take the favorable land and they give it to whomever they want it to have.
And when you look at the immigrants and how they've used that to get ICE here, it's more than just ICE that's here in Chicago. You've got Homeland Security cameras all over the place. You got ATF, who's been here for quite a while. They've led with the gangs here as terrorist threats, all of these things that are going on. And then another thing, man, I was going to point out to you and to the listeners too, that you can be, at just about every dam there's a black town underneath it. So Greenville is just one of many assaults in the playbook because they've done it over and over and over again. And it's kind of the same thing that's playing out here in Chicago is going to play out just about everywhere because they're trying to, like you said, get the land back. They want to take that back. So, and as a man of God, it just I'm called to speak the truth at whatever cost. And it's more about letting people know that you have to seek God, seek the Lord while He may yet be found. Because before you can get anything, you must have your mind renewed. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So if your mind ain't transformed, it don't matter. If they cut link off and give you $1 million, you're gonna spend it the same way you did when you spent your link. You're gonna have to get the mindset for it. And yes, there's gonna be some hard times ahead, but come to the Lord. You know, the churches have plenty of provisions. The Lord's storehouse has never closed. You know, it's always open. Like, you know, He does not ever lack for anything. The scripture says that, you know, if He clothed the lilies and things like that, then how much more would He clothe you? You know, how much you mean more to Him than the things of the field and the animals of the field and the fowls of the air. So how much more would He feed you? So you have to count the Lord for this. But one way or another, man of God, we didn't took this thing home. So we hope that this was a real good one for you. And tune in next time for more God-versation to come.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So
Peace.
peace. Until next time, see it clear.